Welcome to the Couple to Couple League PeakDay podcast, where we discuss fertility and natural family planning with our friends. Today's guests are Al and Beth Budlier. Al and Beth have been married nearly 20 years and have been a teaching couple with Couple to Couple League since 2012. Al works in information technology and Beth worked as an occupational therapist until deciding to stay home full-time and homeschool their children. Al and Beth have recently joined Couple to Couple League's Fertility Science Institute as fertility coaches. Thanks for being on the PeakDay podcast.
Thanks so much for having us, Martha. We're excited.
Great. It'll be great to talk with you. Can you just kind of start at the beginning and tell us how you two met?
One day at noon mass, I saw this girl.
My Lenten promise that same year was to attend daily mass, and I had slept through all of the morning masses, and so thank goodness for the noon mass. I put my hair up in a ponytail, and I was just wearing sweats, and I made it to mass though, and sure enough, I'm walking out, and this guy's there asking if I want to go across the street for lunch. So the rest is history. But
yeah.
But it was really the Holy Spirit, and there was a lot of consolations during our dating, and still that God just made us for each other. We've been in and out of different train wrecks of relationships here and there and everything, and so it was a good road to.
Were you familiar with your fertility, and did you know about natural family planning, or was it kind of new to you?
Definitely not to the extent after I took the class, but I did know my mom was kind of crunchy before it was cool. And I knew that on her bedside table, she always had a calendar and she was always charting. And so even though I don't remember her having a conversation with me about charting or about using natural family planning, but I did know that my parents lived that. So just their example, just living that, and I knew that was what we wanted to do in our marriage. And then just from girlfriends and roommates and coworkers, I had heard already by the time I was 20, 25, I had heard of negative side effects of some of the birth control options that were out there.
So what a blessing for you two to start off right away, knowing that you both wanted to, be in unison, take the class and learn about it. So what was that process like for you guys? Where, like you said, you didn't really know like all the nitty gritty details.
I really soaked that up. I've always kind of been science minded, and I was really enthralled with, wow, this is what's going on every month. And I had even had previous cycles where the light turned on. I thought, well, that's what was happening when my sister moved away to college, or that's what was happening when I had all this stress. And it just turned on all these lights. I thought, wow, and I wish I would have known earlier, but it was exciting and fun to learn at that time.
Yeah.
And then I just remember like being really stuck on some things, like, what? I don't know how, like, I don't understand how this works. And then Al would be like, oh, Beth, it's just this and this. And I just really got from the get-go what a blessing it was to learn couple to couple, that the things that I was like, no, Al, that's how that works. And I got it. He'd be like, what? And then vice versa. So I just really appreciated that method of learning. And we see that now with our couples where it's kind of fun. One is geeking over the chart and the other one, it's just interesting and fun to see that complementarity and teamwork that happens with our couples. That's how we started out with that as well.
So in your diocese now, is it a requirement or is it an intro?
It's not. It's still that intro class.
Okay.
So we spend a lot of that. It was just 1 hour with the couples on their retreat day. So they'll have a retreat day. And of course, we're really encouraging them that it's probably more rare than not that you'll go through your entire marriage and not have some point where it's maybe prudent in using that responsible parenthood and discerning that it might not be the best time to grow your family. And you can do that in a way that is in line with church teaching, and we like to share that with couples.
So if you had to think of an ideal time for a couple to learn about it, when would that be?
Wow, I'd say probably like to have the last class like 6 months before the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I think, people do climb that hill, and they've got a better chance knowing about it from the CCL class.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How did you guys become interested in teaching natural family planning, or the introductory course?
Yeah. So we were expecting our third child. And again, I think it's probably just the Holy Spirit. I was brought up in a small town, and so where we live now, it really seems, we have museums and we have shopping and the whole bit, whatever. It just seems like a big town to me. And so when I went online and saw that, there's one other teaching couple in our whole area, I was kind of like, why aren't there more? And then, of course, the Holy Spirit takes that and says, hey, why aren't there more?
We had this conversation a few times between ourselves, and at one point we just kind of looked at each other and like,
yeah.
Oh.
He's calling us to do that. So.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's wonderful. And you answered the call. That's what's
well, it's been nothing but blessings. We just love teaching and meeting just the best couples, the sweetest, it's an exciting time. And you ask, when's the best time to learn this? And as much as, I think it's kind of like, when's the best time to like get the birds and the bees talk? It has to be 20 talks. It has to be, 50,
yes.
just this ongoing. Yeah. So maybe these young girls should be getting some of this information, and then, it should be building on it.
Yep.
They should be getting the theology, but since that's not an option probably for the majority of our couples, there's something to be said about getting it during that exciting time of being engaged and taking on something else, like let's start our marriage out right. Let's live a life that's pleasing. Let our marriage be pleasing to God and give glory to God.
So were you teaching mostly live classes in your area for local couples?
Yeah. Maybe probably between 5 and 10 years, we were teaching classes. We would schedule 3 classes per year, and more often, we'd have at least one. I know we had 4 couples in some of those classes. And so, and then we would just teach them one-on-one. We'd provide babysitting, and we'd get together at the church and teach that way. Mm-hmm. And that it's just kind of been interesting as things, COVID comes along, and now we're primarily teaching online, and we did our first live online class with 16 couples. So it's a whole nother landscape of than teaching this one couple in our living room or at the parish hall. So yeah.
Oh yeah, quite different. So how did moving to online classes change the way you teach, or did it still feel kind of the same?
Before COVID, we'd been having people start to come over when it was just one couple. And when we were doing the Zoom meetings, or, it made it a lot more casual and a lot less high pressure having to get a room at church. Sure. That's if it were 16 people live in person, it'd be the same thing. It just changes.
Yeah, that would be tough. Right. Yeah.
But it offers a lot of flexibility to be able to say there's a self-paced option where you can be taking these modules at 10 o'clock at night or between feedings, if they're postpartum, or it's nice to have that option and to have that flexibility. So I can understand that.
Do you have contact with young women who are maybe not preparing for marriage, but who are maybe interested in learning more about their fertility?
We're part of a homeschool group, and there are several moms that have contacted me, and there's another woman who teaches another NFP method, and just saying, hey, we kind of need some of this to be able to start our girls thinking on this and let them know how beautiful our bodies are, how perfectly God created them. And if you have that baseline of understanding, there's just nowhere to go but up from there. And you wouldn't ever want to like taint it with medication. You would never want to shut it down. You wouldn't, if you know how good it is, if you know.
Right.
So,
Right.
so actually that's a little bit in the works. It's kind of been on the back burner for a while, but I do hope we can
Okay.
bring something like that to the surface with
Yeah.
mostly like high school and older, we're thinking.
Yeah, we have the mother-daughter program, of course, for those
Yes.
young girls.
Yes.
And then our young adult program is just almost ready, like very, very soon. So
Okay.
maybe you'll be able to
Wonderful.
use those materials.
Oh,
Because,
we'll
yeah,
keep an eye out for that then. Thank you.
yeah, definitely.
Wonderful.
Do you see more interest like now as compared to in the past when you guys first started in couples who want to track their cycles and use NFP?
We do see like one of our classes had like they weren't even like they weren't Catholic, they were chiropractors, and they
Oh,
were just living
yeah,
that healthy lifestyle, saying let's work
sure.
with our bodies instead of against our bodies. And so I
Ah,
know we've had several even within in the Catholic Church and not, and
mhm.
so we have seen that.
Okay. Have you had a chance to teach the postpartum or the perimenopause classes?
We have done both, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
and it's just neat to be able to journey with people on different
I
and
bet.
through different times, and those transition times can be tricky. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll just just saying we're just going to take a step at a time here, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I just I love. I mean, we teach, but it's really like the couple to couple league and the materials that they have. Like you can use this confidently. Like look at
Mm-hmm.
these statistics and look at
Right.
this is what happens. Here's A, then we do B, um,
Right.
and sometimes there may be this extended um, abstinence, and it tells you what to do then too. It says like take that
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
to find other ways to love your spouse, and that's going to help
Mm-hmm.
too. There's just wonderful materials
Mm-hmm.
we that we fall back on. It's all the couple to couple weeks materials that
Yeah. Yeah.
so I feel confident being able to teach that postpartum time and confident in
Mm-hmm.
teaching
Mm-hmm.
that perimenopause. Like
Yeah. So Beth talked a little bit about like her favorite thing about teaching. What about you, Al? What's your favorite thing about teaching NFP?
Oh, you know what? Uh, it is kind of satisfying to be knowing you're helping people make a real improvement in not just
Mm.
their earthly lives, but their eternity. This is something.
Mm.
It's not up to me to see who, what seeds fall on the path versus fertile ground. It's
Right.
but if nobody sows any seeds, none of them are going to grow. They're just going to sit in the
Right.
bag and get rotten, and they're never going to, they're never going to have a chance. So that's the most important people because people deserve a chance. I never got anywhere without people giving me a chance,
Mm.
and it's all the grace of God.
Now you're teaching couples with the one-to-one class. That's kind of a newish type thing that we've introduced recently. Can you talk a little bit about that and what's your experience so far?
wow, I think you mentioned at the very beginning about how there is really a need for online teaching and couples, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind of started with a bang. We have been seeing couples several every week where, for whatever reason, they might need. Like we have couples that are getting married overseas, or we have couples that
Yeah.
didn't know about the requirement, or
Yeah.
um, needed to move their wedding date up for whatever reason. And
Yep.
thanks to these one-to-one classes, that's viable for them now, where they can still learn the method. It's very condensed, so it's a lot of
Yes.
information, but
Yeah.
they have that information.
Right.
They can take that and go ahead and start charting, go ahead and
Mm-hmm.
turn in their paperwork and do everything that they need to for their diocesan
Right.
requirements.
Right.
But they can also follow up with the teaching couple. So they
Right.
have our information, they have our email, they have opportunity to set up a third appointment where they can
Mm-hmm.
have their actual chart and we can look at it
Yes.
from that perspective. So say,
Right.
all right, we're going to give you all of this information. It's a lot, but
Yeah.
you can take that and you're not alone. And so I love that with the one-to-one, where you've got
Mhm.
a couple, we're helping you,
Right.
we're able to answer those specific questions. They might have specific health problems that, like, this regular charting is not going to work for me. So,
Mhm.
or that's what they think. And we can
Yes.
kind of take their
Yeah.
hand through these one-to-one classes
Right.
and be able to make sure that it is going to work for them. So,
Mhm.
so it's wonderful. It's a wonderful opportunity for
Yeah.
these couples that
Yeah.
need that little extra bit of help. And
Right.
whereas the live online classes, where we have all of these couples and we have to say, like, if you have a question, we're going to have to answer it at the end. Like in the one-to-one classes, they have a question, we can answer it right then. We can
Right.
be like, oh, let me look that up right here, or let's look in your couple's guide and go ahead and earmark page 23 and we'll look at that, so that's all a really beautiful thing. And then that they're never alone either. As they go on, we're always encouraging them to be sure to follow up with that final appointment, where it's a month out, and maybe then, like, all the dust from the wedding, all the wedding confetti has settled a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they're actually living it out. They're actually charting, and then they can come back and say, okay, how does this look? What can we do here? So I actually haven't gotten that far. I'm just, we've kind of just started seeing couples for 2 weeks now. So we're real fresh, but it's been a lot of fun getting to know these couples and to hear their stories and see where they're at in the world, and be able to walk along with them. So yeah, we've enjoyed it so far.
Along your journey now as a teaching couple, you have accepted a position of coaching with Fertility Science Institute. How did that happen? How's that going?
Goodness, I think in the emails that go out to the teaching couples, it got sent out saying we're looking for coaches with this Fertility Science Institute. And I remember that one of the things it said, it was that it's going to reach, have a further reach than the couple-to-couple league, where the couple-to-couple league, I love it. It's absolutely beautiful, but it's very specific. It definitely is for engaged couples or couples that are married, and probably mostly in the Catholic Church. And I do have a friend who's a parishioner at our church, is an OBGYN in town. And I mentioned to her once, I said, we teach natural family planning, and there are natural family planning only doctors. Would you ever consider that? And her answer to me was, I would, Beth, but I am able, by not being an NFP only doctor, I am able to reach out and to talk to these women that otherwise would never get this message, that would never, that come and they're on the pill and they're having these terrible side effects. And she said, I can share that with them. And so that kind of just put this bug in my head that I thought, wow, I see an NFP only OB, but it kind of got me thinking, like, there are others that wouldn't go to her, that would go to this woman that is at our parish. And I thought, I kind of want to be able to reach those. Maybe they're the chiropractor, or maybe they're just like, I just want to live all natural, and to be able to share and be able to put some of those teachings that we've learned through the couple-to-couple league about the dignity of the human body and the theology of the body, and be able to put some of those seeds into some of that, to share those with maybe women or couples that it's not even on the radar. So that's kind of where that started, I think, and that was several years ago. And so when that kind of came through again, I thought, well, maybe it might be worth pursuing. So.
Okay. Can you tell me about some of the benefits that you've received as a couple and even as a family because of practicing NFP in your marriage?
I remember early in our marriage, and I kind of like, I don't really want to talk to him about this. And it just seems like it was because of our charting and because of NFP that I thought, we're talking about cervical mucus. We can talk about anything. And we tell that to our couples that there are 1,000 different conversations that we had because of NFP that we never would have had otherwise. If I had been on the pill or any other form of hormonal birth control, we never would have had to have those conversations. Right. And so all these conversations about like family size, or even when we had 2 little ones and they were both little, and where any other couple just like, I'm just going to go back on birth control. Like, please, like, can you come home from work early? And he started like taking the kids on Saturday mornings. And so I just like those things just bolstered our marriage, bolstered our communication. And we would have never had them otherwise. I just would have been on my own. And instead it was like, okay, if we can't grow our family right now, why can't we grow our family? Like, what do we need to change financially or like mentally? What do I need to do to have things be okay in our home and our family, to be able to grow our family? Because that's what we wanted. But and so I feel like we just like address those head on. Tough conversations, and we just jumped on those early and fast, and we were able to grow. We were able to grow our family, and our relationship grew because of that.
All right. Well, thank you both for being on the PeakDay podcast. You're lovely guests, and thanks again for being teaching couples and coaches and everything that you do for the engaged couples.
Thanks
for talking to us. It's good to be here.